Hello, everyone. Welcome to this forum of startups from Europe and Southeast Asia within Jaktent or Jakarta Content Week, the new forum for professional creative exchange and business in Asia Pacific, which saw its premiere in November 2020. My name is Claudia Kaiser and I'm Vice President of the Frankfurter Buchmesse or Frankfurt Book Fair. We're very excited and happy to be able to share this fourth session of the Exchange Forum today. It's probably one of the first to focus on our two regions, and this comes at a time when the EU and ASEAN have just a few weeks ago, last year, changed their status from dialogue to strategic partnership. That's very good news. Today, we're conducting the fourth session of this forum, which altogether had or has 4 sessions. The first were in December and these in January. We have speakers from different startups in our regions to share experiences, knowledge, and information, as well as facilitators who are a vital part of the industry and have gained a lot of experience in the field. I cannot wait to hand over to our speakers, but before I do that, let me thank my organization, the Frankfurt Book Fair, the Federal Foreign Office of Germany, and the German Embassy in Jakarta, as well as the Goethe Institute for making this possible. We cannot thank them enough for supporting our ideas and endeavors. Of course, as I said, this is part of Jaktent, which is organized jointly by Frankfurt Book Fair and the foundation 17,000 Islands of Imagination in Indonesia. Our guest speakers today are, well, we have 2 facilitators, which are Professor Harald Hensler from Germany and Mr. Adrian Sugandi from Indonesia, from Sonic Boom, the CEO, as well as our guest speakers, Irzan Raditya from Kata.ai and Christoph Speroni from Better Marks in Germany. Please know that the session will be recorded and also shown at a later date, and it's also going to be streamed. Okay, so without further ado, over to you, Harald. Thank you.
Thank you for the introduction, Claudia. And I just want to, share some first ideas and insights, catching up what we had as ideas in December. Now the topic is, what is AI as a game changer in the educational market? And just looking at what happens now in the market, of course, kids can ask us, why should I learn anything about language or mathematics? I just ask Siri, or I ask Google to text things I would like to have texted. I use apps like Photomath that just take a picture from a mathematical problem and they solve it for me. So why do I have to learn things if apps can solve that for me? And maybe just to have a short introduction in what AI could mean, it might help to have a differentiation about 3 words: data, information, and knowledge and experience. What algorithms do, which is meant by artificial intelligence, is they just classify certain items, data. They classify data. We see that in Spotify or Apple Music when they just make a playlist. They filter. So that's what we see when we get news feeds from the social media. What pops up in Facebook or Instagram is all done by algorithms who filter certain information so we don't get overloaded. They prioritize. That's what's happening when we get search results in Google. So if you want to be on the first list, so you have to know the algorithm Google is applying. And they connect. We see this in the shopping systems like Amazon and others. So those are basically things algorithms do, and we refer to them as artificial intelligence in the combination they work. And of course, there are many tools around in the world who search, filter, categorize, analyze, and so on. And they do things for us And those who are able to use them have an advantage, of course, because they can be faster and looking at the advantages, they never forget. They don't need a coffee break as we do. They never sleep. They just need electricity. Yeah? They don't have the bias we have when we see someone, when we listen to something. So at first sight, it sounds great. Remembering also what we said in the first session about Jack Ma talking about how to teach to our children. Of course, artificial intelligence does not mean anything of any one of those algorithms can teach us values, can teach us anything about independent thinking, about knowledge and experience. If we see data, information, knowledge, and experience. And coming now to the important topic of mathematics. Of course, mathematics is not about results. Everyone who did an examination in mathematics knows that. You cannot learn it by heart. You have to apply a method. You have, of course, you have to search, filter, prioritize, connect. Yeah, that's important. But you need your experience in solving questions. And that leads us to today's session. Why learn math with digital tools? And of course, there are many things, such as there are illustrations, there are unlimited exercises and examples, and there might be personal instructions. When I first saw better marks some years ago, I was very surprised because I grew up with learning mathematics by using a pencil and a piece of paper. And I was taught to concentrate on that. And then I saw that better marks is a far better method to learn. And many teachers in Germany use it because they know they can help pupils better learn better. And of course, um, this startup also earned many prizes in Europe. And I'm very happy that Christoph is talking to us today. He is co-founder of Bettermarks, and they've gone a long way through convincing professors on how to use it and teachers. And I can say they are at the moment the best solution teachers have in Germany learning mathematics. So, Christoph, happy to have you here, and I'm very excited to listen to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Harald, for this nice introduction and your kind words. So my name is Chris, and I'm here the product guy at Bettermarks. And today I would like to show you our view on artificial intelligence in school systems. And I will just start to share my screen, just a second. Yeah, and we are a Berlin-based company. And as Harald said, we are not only available in German, but also in English, Spanish, and Dutch. And we created an adaptive learning system for math. And to explain or to have a view on artificial intelligence, I think it's very helpful to clarify the meaning of adaptivity. Because if you talk about adaptive learning, you can imagine different added value. And for us at Bettermarks, the goal of adaptivity is to enable students to learn from their mistakes, because from our point of view, mistakes are the best opportunity to learn something. And how it works, I would like to show you. Because to enable adaptive learning and learning from mistakes, you need three pillars. And the first one is interaction tools. As you can see here at Bettermarks, you can apply mathematical skills. So you can enter a term, you can make geometric constructions, you can build diagrams and so on. And this is very important to have the possibility to apply mathematical skills. Yeah, because if you have only multiple choice questions, you can maybe apply the skill of identifying the right solution, but it's something completely different if you have to apply mathematical skills. So our role model is an empty sheet of paper, yeah, for interaction, because on an empty sheet, you can make every single mistake. But the problem of an empty sheet is there's no feedback. And this is the second pillar. And here you can see, for example, if you have to draw a function, first of all, within Bettermarks, you have a help available to get started. Yeah, you can check a textbook with calculated examples. And then you have the possibility to draw a point, to build a gradient, and to receive a feedback. Here you can see that the line does not have the correct gradient, so the point P was right. And in Bettermarks, you have always a second attempt. And this second attempt is so important to have the possibility to apply what you learned from a feedback. And if you have no clue what the solution is, you have always an explanation with the values of the problem available. So, and this mechanism leads to a success rate of 70% in the second attempt. So you can see between the first mistake and the second attempt, there's something happening, yeah, because the success rate is about 70%. But sometimes an explanation or feedback is not enough. This is the case when you have a knowledge gap. Let us take this example here. If you have to add two fractions, for example, here a half plus 2/5, and you make, or if you apply a misconception, for example, you say it's 3/7, of course, you have a feedback which is related to your mistake. But if you make mistakes again and again, you can close your knowledge gaps. Yeah, you can solve easier questions. Here in this case, if you have problems with multiples, Bettermarks is detecting knowledge gaps, and then it's possible to catch up by yourself. And this knowledge gap algorithm is based on our learning graph. So this is a knowledge gap of math. And what you can see here, all these different colors are mathematical topics. And these small rectangles here are learning objectives. So we have over 2,000 learning objectives which are connected. And these connections are connections of pre-knowledge. And based on this learning graph, we are able to detect knowledge gaps and to offer the right exercise series to close the knowledge gap. So this is the third pillar. It's a completeness of content, yeah, because we need contents for every single lesson, but also for each ability level of a student. And in total, we have over 100,000 questions. So the feedback, it's not right, is the worst feedback we can give. So the three pillars are freedom to make mistakes, real-time feedback relating to misconceptions, and the completeness of contents to enable students to catch up by themselves. But this is only the student view. If you take a school and the school system, you have to be careful with adaptivity in a class because you have two dimensions. One is the breadth of knowledge and the depth of knowledge. And a teacher is setting the boundaries for a lesson in a class, and also the transition from one lesson to the next one. And so the teacher leads all students to a common starting point, but when you have individual learning paths, it's not useful if some good students are doing exercises or contents which are planned for the next lesson, because then it's boring for them. And in this way, we are motivating students to repeat by coins and stars. So this is an awarding system, and teachers are able to create custom worksheets for gifted students. And on the other hand, we can go back with real-time feedbacks, which you have seen, and the possibility for students to close their knowledge gaps. So, and now the question is, what is the potential of AI? Because all you have seen is not artificial intelligence, it's completely rule-based. Yeah? We have a learning graph and we have rules. We can detect over 2,800 misconceptions. But we have this learning graph with 2,000 learning objects. Each year, we have 200 million solved questions and 60 million mistakes. And these mistakes are not wrong choices. Yeah? These are real mistakes while applying mathematical skills. So from my perspective, there are three fields. The first one is feed forward. So instead of feedback for a student, we have feed forward for teachers. It means if you plan a lesson and if you would like to assign content, you can see, for example, maybe it's not a good idea to assign this piece of content because we made some experiments and after 100 solved questions, we can predict a result. And in this way, we can give recommendations for teachers. On the other hand, we can connect misconceptions with content items. It means we can identify which type of content is helpful to clarify a misconception. And the last one is support for teachers for text evaluation, because the next step for us is to create content for language learning. And here, one potential is to make a pre-clustering of during the correction process for teachers based on previous corrections. And these are the three fields we are working on. And yeah, you can see even with rule-based algorithm, it's possible to create added value. And based on this data, we can unleash the potential of artificial intelligence. So thank you. And now I will hand over.
Thank you so much, Christoph. That was very, very interesting. The way that you take math into something that we can digitalize it, because it's not something that, you know, it's some everyday things that a lot of people and a lot of students struggling with. But again, there's one more speaker that I would like to introduce from the Southeast Asia, from Indonesia. It's a friend of mine. It's Irsan. Irsan has been is a co-founder of Kata.ai, one of the best AI in Southeast Asia, I believe. He has a very enhanced background in technical, in his diverse skill and entrepreneurship. Irsan is a man of concept and cutting edge ideas. Upon his graduation from University of Applied Science and Economics in Berlin, HTW Berlin in 2012, from German, Irsan has worked some notable startups in Europe, such as Rocket Internets, Zalando, and Takeaway.com. Irsan believes in a tap for help, meaning that technology exists to ease people with their daily lives. And therefore, everything he does in technology must be valuable, and people who use them align with the tap for help concept. So he co-founded Kata.ai, something that is it's big in Indonesia. It's one of the first conversational AI platform that focus on natural language processing for Bahasa Indonesia, which is connecting companies in Indonesia with millions of their audience through commonly used messaging channels. Kata.ai has served over 100 enterprises in Indonesia, 10 million end consumers annually, and grown their business 3 times year on year. So as you can see, he is a very his skills is unparalleled in Indonesia. So I welcome Irsan. Please share something a little bit about Kata and about yourself in the next few minutes. Here, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Adrian, for the introduction. Sure, let me share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen now. All right. So introducing about Kata.ai, we are the pioneer of conversational artificial intelligence platform in Indonesia. So our mission is to elevate people potential through the power of language and technology, because we believe language and AI are two of the best mankind's creations since the day that humanity has been, come in place in this world. And we have been working with over 100 plus customers and 20 plus channel partners that help us to deliver our mission in democratizing AI to businesses. And we have been helping our customers like Unilever, Bank BRI, Indosat Uridu, to receive awards from multiple organizations through our innovation together with them, especially with conversational AI and AI assistant. Kata.ai itself, we have been receiving achievements and appreciations from reputable organizations. We won the ASEAN Rice Bowl Startup Awards last year as the best AI and machine learning startup in ASEAN. And for 2 years straight in a row, we've been featured at Facebook Developer Conference, becoming the one and only company in Indonesia as a Facebook official partner for Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And recently, we just announced our Series B funding late December. We are trusted by this top-notch global venture capital in the industry from Indonesia, US, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, and many more. And recently, we are appointed as the official steering committee of Indonesia National AI Strategy in collaboration with the Ministry of Research and Technology. So now Indonesia is having its own AI roadmap towards 2045. So the key question is why we want to devote ourselves to AI here in Indonesia, because we believe the power of this technology, it could increase the productivity of workforces in Indonesia as part of ASEAN. So if we take a look at these 4 ASEAN countries, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, with the current AI and machine learning technologies, 50% of the work could be automated, resulting in $900 billion of wages annually. This report is published by McKinsey Southeast Asia AI Review. And second, when it comes to enabling enterprises with this AI technology, so there are the core technologies such as machine learning, natural language processing, in which the core area where Kata AI will focus on, and deep learning. So based on the report here, artificial intelligence and RPA, or robotic process automation, are the key building blocks towards intelligent enterprise. So from those building blocks, Kata AI is focusing on conversational AI intelligence, creating virtual agent or chatbot technologies for businesses to engage with their customers or even for their internal employees. And to make conversational intelligence useful in this market, we need to adapt to the language that are being used in this country, which is Bahasa Indonesia, through the power of natural language processing. Hence, our first objective in order to make intelligent enterprise in Indonesia is to make machine understands humans' most natural language. So solving this conversational intelligence for almost 300 million population in Indonesia is an ambitious goal to achieve, because data are scattered everywhere, because no AI means no data. The second, a bunch of language variations. If we take a look into traditional language, we are seeing over 600 languages in Indonesia that are spoken, and the low resources conversational data sets. So if we compare Bahasa Indonesia to English on the internet to make the machine learns about the text in various formats, it's compared to none. And several tech giants have been trying to solve this, but problem and obstacles are ahead. The likes of Google, Facebook, Microsoft, IBM, they've been trying to offer this Bahasa Indonesia NLP anyway. But it's not as easy as it seems due to the endless variations, like the slangs, the abbreviations, and so forth. And to serve enterprise needs, it requires complex integration and customization, even sometimes including on-premise deployment. Hence, enterprises, especially in emerging markets, they demand a one-stop shop solution beyond just a developer tool to build this conversational intelligence solution. So Kata.ai is providing an enterprise-grade conversational AI platform, or PaaS, platform as service, with flexible integrations such as to messaging channels in the likes of WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, Telegram, Line, with our own proprietary natural language processing engine and various API interface integration to things such as CRM, HRIS, ERP, even enterprise analytics. So our product has been empowering enterprise with multiple use cases from customer service, marketing, IT help desk, HR help desk, and sales. So we are built for enterprise with all these features, so to speak, and loved by developers through our ability in serving not only a graphical user interface studio to build the chatbot, but also a YAML here, format language, to allow developers to build their own chatbot. And what makes us proud about AI is we are democratizing natural language. Made easy, no more data scientists. It's a very robust natural language understanding engine that has been trained over 750 million of conversations. So through our tools, drag and drop, friendly user interface, and over 20 plus pre-built entities. So our engine could automatically detect name, gender, location, city, dates, etc., and achieving 98% accuracy with very small data sets. So in a snapshot, this is how it looks like. This is in Bahasa Indonesia. Like I want to buy a data package for 10 gigabytes to watch YouTube and Facebook, but the price, it has to be below 100,000 rupiah. So from this sentence, our engine is able to dissect the entities inside the language, the topics or the intent, the sentiment, and even the style of the language. As a result, this is how we are stacking up against the big boys out there. We have the fast processing time with highest correct answers. And for us, it doesn't matter how cool the technology we are trying to bring to the market. It's all about the business impact and results for our customers. One of our key customers, Indosat Ooredoo, one of the leading telco here, they manage 90% of the inquiries are being handled by their digital assistant, developed by using Kata AI technology, and resulting a 30% overall improvement on cost reduction on their operational costs, right? So here are some of our key clients from various sectors: banking, telco, hospitality, retail, FMCG, government bodies, and many more. So just zoom in what we are doing on our Kata.ai research lab. So we are embedding personality into conversations. Like we have an informal or casual persona. We also have this formal persona, for example, of course, in Bahasa Indonesia. And our AI is able to create this poem, okay? And funny thing, we won several local competitions with these AI created poems. And second, our AI just learned through some Twitter chats and Twitter posts, we could create some kind of like unfunny joke, just like this one. And we experiment a bit with automated machine translation. So we are able to translate this text or conversations in Bahasa Indonesia to English. Of course, it's not as advanced as Google is having today, but it's something that we're working as well internally. And then in Indonesia, there's slang language, or famously known as Bahasa Alay. So the funny thing is our AI could translate an informal language, something like this, a very casual one, into something formal with the power of GPT-2, one of the latest AI technology for NLP, resulting something like this, okay, from informal to formal. And we can do industrial context clustering because conversations is all about context. When I inquire about sympathy, there are 3 ways to classify this. In general, it's general inquiry. In telco, we're talking about a product from Telkomsel. In healthcare, I want to know more about mental health issue, about empathy. For example, the next one on the right side, please help me, I lost my phone. General classification, I'm asking for help. In telco, I lost my phone, then please block my number. That's what I need you to help, instead of me asking multiple inquiries. And the third one, in the case of banking, if I lost my phone, then please block my debit and credit card. So this is something that we are doing as well at Kata.ai. And we know that this is the age of multimodal experience. When it comes to conversation, it's not always about chat, but it's a combination of image, video, voice. So combining image recognition to chat is something that we are also providing at Kata.ai to make conversation, especially related to commerce, more seamless. We are very thankful that we have published a lot of AI research papers in global conferences, and I think around 10 right now. And these are just some example. So I think that's it about Untitled AI and a sneak peek on what we're doing in an AI front specifically. Thank you. Let's have a good chat and let's build the future.
Awesome. Thank you, Irsan. That was very, very insightful. Been a while I haven't spoke to you, and you achieved this much in this 2 years, I think. That's awesome. Yeah, let's start with the questions and answers. If anybody from the audience wants to ask to Christoph and or Irsan, please go ahead and put the questions in the chat. But I have a first question that I would like to fire on for both of you, actually, because we are talking about AI. AI is, of course, is a game changer. I see there's a rule base that Christoph is doing, and then he will try to incorporate AI as well. But then taking a step back, at least this is a very common misconception that I'm seeing in the market, which is the word AI is very loosely attached to anything. I'm me myself in a tech startup as well, and then I've talked to a lot of new emerging tech, new founders, and everybody else even in the common in the society, that they're always asking, oh, this AI here, AI there, AI here, AI there, but then they don't really know what it means, what AI really means. Like in how can we explain it? I mean, in your context, maybe Christoph, maybe I can start with you. If you have to explain then, like what's a real AI, except what from Harald has already been said. I mean, what do you think? What classifies as an AI for you in your term? And also the same questions to Irsan after that.
From my point of view, it's an AI is getting more intelligent over the time. So I think this is the main classification, because the example we have seen at Betamax, you know, it's not possible for an artificial intelligence to give a feedback on a misconception from nowhere, yeah? Because you have a context in a question, you have a concept of a misconception, and you have a concept or a context to explain a misconception and to relate it to a mistake. And this is not feasible, yeah, to solve this problem by AI. You have to give an input, at least rules. Yeah, it's not possible, for example, if you have a self-driving car, to invent the rules if you have to stop or not. Yeah? So you have to set up these rules. And yeah, so I think the main answer is that an AI is getting more and more intelligent based on the data collected, and to identify pattern, yeah, and to react on this pattern, and yeah, to improve the behavior of the algorithm.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. How about you, Irsan?
Sure.
Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, you're on mute.
Oh, thank you, Rian. So maybe I'd like to take a step back here. If we talk about AI, the perception of the people in Indonesia, there are two sides. One side, they think AI will take jobs, right? It will be the disaster, like the Terminator story. The other one, they see AI is like a magic wand. It can solve everything. But the reality, AI is just sit in the middle nicely as a tool. It's a technology that will be only useful depending on the user. Now, we talk about AI. We've seen a lot of hype words, buzzwords we've seen in the Hollywood movies. So AI is actually divided into two. First is the ANI or ANI, artificial narrow intelligence. Every technology that we face today, powered by machine learning and deep learning, be it image recognition, AI assistant, video surveillance recognition, self-driving car, it still falls into ANI. So one algorithm to solve like one particular problem. What we have seen in the movies, like we watch the Avengers, Iron Man, they have Jarvis, they have Friday, AI assistant that can do everything. That's a dream, that's a Valhalla. It's actually AGI, artificial general intelligence. And based on the result and observation of the AI experts, we're still 20 to 30 years away before we are able to hit the AGI. That's the second thing. And the third one, AI will only work if we have a massive amount of data. No data meaning no AI. We train our own natural language initially, how we can classify multiple conversations after we analyze at least around 3 to 4 million messages. So without a big amount of data with being labeled, and it has to be something that we as human can think in 1 second, that's the answer. Then AI can do that. If we expect with limited amount of data to answer like a complex classification, to expect the AI to generate some emails in writings, some videos, I think we are not there yet. Okay, and then talking about companies is trying to use the AI buzzword. It depends, because I believe every software companies who are not utilizing AI, they'll be left behind in the next 3 to 5 years. And the likes of Google, Amazon, like even Kata, we have been providing AI as infrastructure. So everybody can say that are utilizing AI, but which one? Is that image recognition, machine learning, natural language processing, speech recognition, or whatnots? And the other one, there are some companies like Kata who are building our own AI algorithm, so we can provide to others. So I think that's my way of thinking and looking at how the market perceive AI in a high level view, Adrian. I hope that answered your question.
Oh, that was great. Thank you. Harold, do you have any questions from you?
Yeah, well, thank you for just catching this up. 2 questions. The first is, how important is it for you in your startup, Christoph and Isan, the curation? Let's say you need responsible people who tell what to search for. So there has to be a dialogue in between those who program the algorithms and manage them, and those who analyze the market. Christoph, you said teachers are very important, and to identify the mistakes. So if you would like to talk a bit about how is that done, I guess it's not the algorithm who does it, but it's people who interpret what's going on in the market.
Okay, maybe I explain how we create new questions, and then I think it should be clear. When we create a question, first of all, it's paper-based. Yeah, so because if we have it on paper, we can do quick tests with students to check if the question is clear, if which problems occurs, and so on. But of course, our authors have also experience about misconceptions. Yeah, if you do private tutoring, for example, you know, oh, this is a typical mistake. So it means we can, when we create a new question, we can implement these known misconceptions. And then after bringing a question live or online, then we can collect data, and then we can measure by our learning analytics tool, are there mistakes where we can only give the feedback it's wrong? Because as I mentioned, it's wrong is the worst feedback we can give. And then we can take a look into inputs. And then sometimes we detect new misconceptions, unknown misconceptions, and then we can add new rules to our didactical algebra and geometry system. Or sometimes we identify, oh, our question is not well formulated. Yeah, there's something which is unclear. It's not intended, and there's no didactical value to create this unclarity. And then it's a reason to modify the question and to change it. So I think it's a mixture between own experience, then observation, and analyzing data. Did I answer your question?
Yep.
You're mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry. No. Very important, as you said, analyzing, yeah, and then deducing from the analyzation what to go on. And this means, as Irzan, and that's would be the question to you, as you said, the fear that people will no longer be of use in their jobs is not there, because you need people who are able to be sensitive what's going on in the market and analyze and then deduce what to do. I'm wrong, or how you see that, is it?
Exactly, Harold. I mean, people think that AI can train on its own, can solve its own problem. But the reality, what we have today is what we call as supervised learning. That being said, we still need human laborers to train the AI to, depending on the objective, be it the product or the business that want to achieve. So if we take a look in Kata case, the thing about AI is it can only predict as good as the labeled data, which is done by human laborers. And this can prone to error, and this can lead to bias. So for every data that is being labeled, we have a panel of labeling, at least by 3 people who are the subject matter experts. In this case, they are kind of having this linguistic background. So I think that's how we do that. And then every conversation, depending on the use cases, we see what are the fallbacks, and we retrain it again. What are the things that are false positive, false negative, and this is how we approach in refining and keep on fine tuning our algorithm so it can serve the purpose of the algorithm itself.
Does that good, Harold, for you?
Thank you very much.
All right. So next questions. Well, there's one from the audience, but I'll ask mine. Then we'll jump on the audience. I think this is a very it's a new field in AI. Well, it's not quite new, but then we talk about it. The Hollywood movie talks about it, but then in the real life, the evolution of it, it's pretty fast. But we're not there yet on what Irzan talks about the AGI, the general intelligence. But then when we pull back on Christoph and Irzan on the first time when you guys make the product, tell us about your experience. I mean, what was the what was the interesting? You reached 70% of on the second attempt. You can provide the students to answer 70% better. Correct. And then Irzan reached about 94 or 98 or 94% of accuracy, or 98. I forgot. Irzan, and then what was the process on that part? I mean, on your first trial, the errors and all the experience that you take. Can you take us a little bit more? Give us your company's the way you achieved that absolutely amazing journey until you reach this point. Maybe Christoph can start first.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so we started 12 years ago, and we thought, okay, we will do something to improve learning, and started without an educational background. And we were afraid then how complex this topic of learning is, and what you need to enable a learning process, to have all these interaction tools. There are over 100 interaction tools, or we created over 100 interaction tools and all these contents. But from our perspective, this was not the biggest challenge for us. It's more the educational system, because we are used in school. So it means teachers are using Bettermarks as a tool. And this is also important, to know artificial intelligence is a tool to support people. It's not replacing teachers, because it's not possible for a teacher to make, if you have a class with 28 students, to make individual learning with each of them. It's not possible. And in this way, Bettermarks is supporting teachers. But in the educational systems, you have the government making defining a curriculum. Then you have schools having a budget for textbooks or software maybe. Then you have teachers deciding what they are using, but there are also colleagues. So it's a joint decision for which tools or for which contents this budget is used. Then you have questions of data privacy. Yeah, what is when I use such a tool in class? What is about with the parents? Are they against it or not? Are they supporting me? What is with the students, yeah, with devices? So you have so many problems to solve until you can start to work with such a new system. And from my perspective, this was the biggest challenge. And now, due to the COVID situation, of course, everything changed. Yeah, now budgets are there from the government, and here in Germany, we have now 6 federal states offering better marks to all schools. They bought it as a state license. And of course, this is a game changer. Yeah? And now the next challenge is to train teachers to not to change your behavior, because I think this is always a fear. Yeah? I have to change my behavior to work. And then we have to explain how to integrate a tool in. It's more replacing tools and not changing behavior. And this is now the next challenge. So you can see it was a long journey and with a lot of problems to achieve this point where we are now.
Interesting. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I'm part of the question is because running a product or like a startup, it's not just the product itself having the problem, right, Ersan? So I think you can explain. I kind of know your story a little bit from it, but yes, please go ahead.
Sure thing. I think Kata.ai started as a B2C company back in 2015 to 2016. It was called YesBoss, providing a virtual concierge, virtual assistant over text. Through YesBoss, you could ask everything from food delivery, booking a flight, booking a restaurant table, even you can share your sappy love stories, like curhat in this case. And with YesBoss, we collected over 4 million messages. And we understood in order to make that kind of conversation scalable, it requires the capability of machine learning and natural language processing as two subsets of AI. But again, my message is that no data means no AI. So how could we acquire those data? So through YesBoss, we did it manually. We have over 50 customer service agents that are trained to handle the requests coming from the end consumers 24/7. So that's what we do back then. So we came to a point, we acquired enough data, our algorithm is there already, and we have some business results, some potential inquiries from enterprise customers for this technology, and we pivoted. We changed our direction from B2C to B2B to Kata.ai. And now we built this platform. And the question is, how can we drive the business result up to 90% of accuracy from one customer? The way we did it, I think, quite pragmatic. We have to learn first the interaction between the business and their on-can consumers with the help of their customer service agents. So we have to know what are their products, the style of the language that are coming from their customers, what are the typical intents. We are focusing typically on the 80% of the inquiries coming, the top 5, top 10. We train our engine to learn that, and then the rest, it will come in through iteration. I think no rocket science about it. But I think the funny thing what I can share is, we work once with one FMCG customers. They're targeting like female millennial customers, so to speak, through a chatbot online. The target market is, again, the millennial and Gen Z. The funny thing about the Gen Z, when we ask for the credentials, we ask for name, gender, phone number, city, date, birth of date. The last part, we ask about their email address. 70% of them, they don't have email address and they don't know what email is. The Gen Z back then, it was like 3 years ago. So through the conversation, we learned that how people behave is different between one demographic to the other demographic, one social class to different social class. And I believe the power of conversation is a new way for us to build a better profiling about our consumers. And this is the next generation of building a persona for your own customers.
Thank you. That was the amazing story. I'll take some questions and then I'll move to Harold. The first one from Eve, from Dewi Ria for Irsan. The question is, compared with other countries in Southeast Asia, where is Indonesia's position in AI technology and business?
This is such a great question. Again, we talk about AI. It's quite it's a quite accessible technology where Indonesia could thrive when we are able to build a technology that's very localized. So localized data that are not being able to capture by the likes of Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and others. And this is the opportunity and where local AI companies could thrive. So rather than solving low-level tasks, AI, but rather something very localized. So at Kata's focus, we focus on language, but we are already thinking through two steps ahead, not only language, but combining language with local industry vertical data. For example, language with financial service, language with healthcare, language with education, language with retail. If we could combine those into an insightful prediction machine coming from the AI that could increase the bottom line of the business, I think that's the opportunity. To answer your question, it's just very, very early for today, and we are barely scratching the surface. Aside of the AI player like Kata, Noteflux, and others, AI becomes a luxury game, probably being monetized and captured by the likes of Gojek, Tokopedia, Traveloka, those big companies who are sitting at the goldmine of data, because that's the opportunity they are exploring right now. I hope I answered your question.
Also,
thank you.
Yeah, you are. Also language with math. So I think Christoph, I saw one of the Christoph point was to looking into context. I think solving Indonesian math problems as we speak in a localized way. I think Christoph has all the chemistry, because math is an absolute science. It's A, B, and C. And then when we can incorporate the subjects to education, that would be a very, very interesting verticals that maybe you guys can explore. And I think this is in line with the last questions that we have. I hope to both from Eve to everyone. Projecting your startup in the future, if you have the power to engage a huge company, what collaborations are you expecting or hope in the futures? And also, one of the questions that I have along this line is, at the end, looking at your products, looking at what you're building, what will be the wow and the something that at the end that you would like to see how your products would be? I mean, the evolution of the product at the end. How smart or how intelligent, or how would you like to make an impact, and how would the product be the evolve of it? Because I know Ersan from Yes Boss to the consumer, but then he's coming back to the small medium. So how would you like to see it? Probably Christoph can start with that.
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so as I mentioned in the presentation, our plan is to create contents for new subjects, for example, language learning. And there our goal is not to create all these pieces of software by our own. So our goal is to create a platform to enable startups and other companies to create adaptive learning material. And yeah, for this, I think it's the best way is to plug in other technologies and to use it in a way to enable learning. Yeah, because I think this is our expertise. Yeah, how it should be to create aha moments and to accelerate learning. And so from a technology point of view, it's to integrate other solutions and AI technology-based solutions to build a platform for other subjects, or for the creation of other subjects.
Wow, I'm looking forward to see that actually. How about you, Irsan?
Yeah, I think in terms of the current context of our business, since Kata is expanding our market from the enterprise business to the SMBs, looking at the reports that the AI could deliver 365 billion US dollar of GDP to Indonesia by 2030, in which Indonesia's GDP is largely contributed by the SMBs. What I'm expecting how technology could enable the SMBs is to help them to increase their sales revenue and then improve their productivity. So I'm a fan of this idea of creating a decentralized commerce platform where every merchant could have their own channel that is delivering traffic, getting traffic, and also delivering sales to their own channel, rather than being dependent on this other platform like the e-commerce marketplaces on the on-demand services. So I think that's the goal for the current business. But if you ask me, the big dream of the technology is that text is just one thing. Second iteration is how we can do more with voice. A lot of voice use cases with voice assistants like Siri, Google Assistant, Alexa. But I think people are just trying to find a use case beyond controlling your home, beyond playing music, reminder, or alarm. Then that's the real opportunity with voice, because that's the real human most natural interaction and I think interface to connect with machines. Once we get into voice, we talk about brainwave recognition. I think that's the next step. But I guess from chat to voice to brainwave transmission, that's the interesting part towards the AI technology, the way I'm seeing that.
Great. I completely agree with you. I'm in the sound as well. Voice. I think that will be the next one to come. I'm with you on that one. And this, I think this is the end. We are. It's about time. Thank you again so much for the time, Christoph and Ersan, for today. It will be. I think it is a very insightful. And Harold, thank you for also for the time. And I will give it back to Claudia.
Yeah, thank you so much, Irzan, Chris, Adrian, and Harald, for the session, this really insightful session and also really interesting session. I think we could go on talking about this for the next few hours, and that probably wouldn't be enough either. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you to all of you listeners for being interested in joining our session. We hope that this is not going to be the last one of our exchange forum and that we will be able to continue with these interesting insights. And at the end of the day, I really hope, and this is obviously also one of the aims and goals of this forum, is to create more exchange. So if you have any ideas on how this could be possible, how we can create more exchange. Irzan, for instance, has studied in Berlin. He knows German, so perhaps he can also bring some ideas to the table. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Once again, thank you to our sponsors, the Federal Foreign Office of Germany, the German Embassy in Jakarta, the Goethe Institute, the Frankfurter Buchmesse, as well as the Foundation at 17,000 Islands of Imagination in Indonesia. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.